Autumn has arrived, the trees are changing. I'm busting out my knee-high boots and starting to opt for moodier and darker colors in my makeup and in my fashion. So today what I want to do is share with you some of my favorite types of products to really give any look that autumnal feel. I'll be sharing with you some of my favorite products themselves, the shades and formulas, as well as just like tips to really make any look just have that effortless autumn feel. So that's the plan for today. Let's get into it. I love to start autumn makeup looks with the lip. I really feel like darker lips are like one of the key components for an autumn look. Sure, you can do a warm smoky eye or something, but there's something about that like slightly vampy darker lip, whether you go for an orange or a red or a brown, that just says autumn. So I just love to build the look around the lip. And I always love to start with some kind of brown lip liner. Brown lip liner for the win. Honestly, with any autumn look, you can like blend this with oranges, with reds. You can even take a lighter shade you have and like really blend it into a brown lip liner, and it's gonna just like move any shade into something a little deeper and moodier. So one of my top shades to use for this is from Vive, and it's the shade Bark. I consider it to be a fairly neutral brown shade. Like you can build it up, you can do it a little softly, and it's just like seems to go with so many different lipstick shades. I don't really know what it is about it, what kind of magic sorcery it has. If I'm going for a very vampy dark brown or dark red, I might go for the Charlotte Tilbury. This is Pillow Talk Intense. So you can really see the shade difference there. It really moves into quite a deeper brown shade. So I reserve that for the vampier types of lips. And then if I want to go for something a little lighter, I might go for something like Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the shade Parchment. So this can go really nicely with like a softer orange, or say I want to take like a peachy, summery coral lip shade and then deepen it up with something a little bit more autumny, but not super dark. I'll use a shade like this. And then of course, across like brown lip liner shades, you can find all kinds of undertones, like a really warm brown if you lean warm, or a cooler, more neutral brown if you're on the other side of the spectrum. So just bear that in mind. You can really customize what type of shade of brown to use with the lip shade and then with your undertone to create that perfect autumn lip that really suits you. You can really just like customize it. For example, this is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. They call it a cool brown. Kind of has like a different look to it than this shade Parchment, for example. Although I find this one isn't too cool that it's abrasive. I mean, there's something about brown that inevitably has a little bit of warmth to it by the nature of its shade. But now that I see it compared to something like Parchment, you can really see that it has a bit more coolness to it. All right, let's create an autumn lip look. I'm going to be using Vive Bark, as it really is my favorite brown lip liner for this kind of look. And I did hydrate my lips. I had a lip gloss on and I've wiped it off really well because I really think there's something about a matte, darker, warm lip that just also really says autumn. So I'm going to heavily line with this. This formula is the kind that's seems kind of like it doesn't budge too much. You can really create quite a lot of depth. I have a few different autumn lip shades in front of me that I'm going to share in a moment. But first I'm going to apply one of those shades, and that is Melt Pumpkin. This was part of a limited edition release, but they brought it as part of their permanent collection because I think people loved it so much. And it is such a perfect orange for autumn. Like it has enough vibrancy that you can really see the orange to it, but a little bit of muted muddiness. I love it. Does anything say autumn more than this type of orange shade? Something that's like a burnt orange? No, nothing says autumn more. Now I know orange lipsticks may not be for everybody, but I do want to showcase a couple of favorite oranges in comparison to this, as well as some other reds and different kind of colors you could play with. So Melt Pumpkin, here it is just on its own. Again, lovely shade. I also love Lisa Eldridge Velvet Dragon. This one I find kind of summery, kind of autumnal, especially if I blend it with the brown lip liner. So as you can see, it has a bit more pink to it compared to the very kind of yellowy, rusty orange. I also have Lisa Eldridge Velvet Cinnabar. Now this is starting to move into reds. I love this shade. I've used this before with brown lip liners to great effect. It's a lovely shade. It's almost like getting a little bit of best of both worlds, a little bit more of that pinky red of Velvet Dragon, but more of that kind of earthy warmth of pumpkin. Great shade. I also have from Vive, this is Power Suit. A bit more of a kind of muddy neutral orange. If you apply it lightly, it almost looks like a bit of a nude, but you can build it up to quite a pretty orange. Here is Melt Mum. This one, kind of similar to Power Suit, actually. I love this one as well. Kind of goes with more looks because it's a little bit more neutral rather than like orange. And then, of course, I will say you can't go wrong with some kind of red, like Lisa Eldridge Velvet Jazz. This is a very rich red, but with a little bit of vibrancy to it. I'm wearing this to my autumn wedding that's happening in a couple months. I love this blended with a brown lip liner as well. If you want to go super vampy, I love Rituel de Fille Ravenous. This is for those of you who like a very dark lip. It would go very well with that Charlotte Tilbury liner. And then just a quick note on like glosses and lip oils, because sometimes that can really shift a look into something kind of glam and ethereal, even though it's like darker colors. So I do often like to either like use a brown liner and then a tinted lip gloss or balm, or like layer it on top of a color to like darken it. So I've loved TYS Beauty. This is the shade Toast. It's like a sparkly dark brown. And this is something like I might layer on like pumpkin and like start to like get a bit more depth out of it. And then I'm such a long time stan of Merit Sangria. This is like a perfect kind of berry brown. Love it on its own, love it layered. And then more new to me from Typology, this is Black Cherry. So this one on its own has a little bit more lightness to it, but it can really like build up with depth, especially if you're like blending it with a lip liner. And then another fall favorite of mine is Merit Lavenue, which goes quite well with Merit Sangria. So here we have a lot of swatches of like, as you can see, like oranges, browns, and like reds that have some more depth to it. This to me just says autumn. You can definitely go for some lighter tones for sure, but like an autumn look just screams autumn when you go for this like more depth, more saturation, and moving into colors that you really do see happening in the world around you, you know, in the trees and everything. So lips are where it's at for me. I'm gonna build up the look from here, just share a couple more tips and tricks with Complexion products for autumn. So I'm gonna wipe this off and continue on with the look. As I build up the rest of the makeup around this lip, I kind of honor the same principle as the lip liner and how the brown lip liner really adds depth and dimension. A makeup product I love is from Patrick Ta, and it's the shade She's So LA. I love blending this, in particular the cream side, with so many different blush shades to bring it more depth, bring it more autumnal feels. As you can see, I've hit pan, like I use this a lot. Beautiful on its own, but sometimes I do want a little bit more color on the cheeks, maybe a bit of orange to honor this, and then a little bit more depth. So it's just a great mixing shade and great on its own. So what I'm going to do is use this shade mixed with Rose Inc Foxglove. This is a beautiful kind of burnt peach shade. I love it in summer and autumn. It's a go-to for me. Again, you can see I've hit pan on both of these. Two of my favorite blushes for sure. I'd like to mix them today. In fact, I'll show you the whole process. I'll do it one step at a time. So I'm going to take Rose Inc Foxglove and start to blend it on the cheek. Like it has a little bit of mutedness to it. It's not a bright orange, but it isn't quite as autumny and doesn't have as much depth as the lip. It's really pretty and certainly a nice combination. But what I'm going to do then is add She's So LA and then start to bring, you know, a little bit more brown into it. A little bit more depth. Bear in mind, I haven't fully blended this yet. I'm just kind of showing you the effect. A little bit exaggerated before I blend this. But together, they just make this really, really beautiful shade. So I'm just gonna take my foundation brush, blend that, blend out those edges. I think I'd like to put a little bit of bronzer. Bronzer is a great tool with autumn looks too, because a lot of the shades are a little bit warmer, so it can help you and your skin like really handle the warmth of the shades, even if you don't have like a warm undertone. I probably should have done this first, to be honest. It's kind of going over the blush, but I forgot. I got too excited. But yeah, bronzer is a great way just to add general warmth to the complexion if you're playing with warm tones on the lips or anywhere else. See, I kind of went over the blush, so I'm gonna add the blush back in a second. So here's She's So LA and Foxglove. You can see the difference between the two shades. Some other shades I really like are Merit. This is Fox. Kind of has actually a little bit of both. Maybe I could have skipped the whole mixology and gone with this one. Although I will say the Merit Flush Bombs have a little bit of sheerness and balminess. They kind of blend out. This one, also from Merit, is Postmodern. It looks quite vibrant in comparison to these, but it will go really nicely with like a darker red lip. Speaking of a darker red lip, I have been loving Weeping Cherry from Rituel de Fille. This one I'll be pairing with my dark red lip for my wedding. Look how much depth there is there. So pretty. Phytosurgence Sublimate is another shade I love to turn to. Very, very beautiful shade to pair with like a brick red lip or like, you know, Velvet Cinnabar, which I swatched earlier. I also have, this is quite an oldie. I've had this one for quite a while. Deep Maple A from Nude Sticks. Much more brown. This is also a great mixing medium for like adding depth into any kind of color. And then if you're more of a powder blush kind of person, I have from Vive another great blending and deepening shade, Piazza. So this, you could like do a softer cream blush and then deepen it with some powder. Great little autumn hack there. If you're more of just a lip and cheek kind of person, you could definitely stop the look here, skip mascara if you'd like, or put on a little bit of mascara. I personally love that for every day. I love focusing on different tones of lips and cheeks. When I have more time or I'm in a mood to look a little bit more glam, I'll do some eyeshadow. So I'm going to share with you some of my favorite autumn eyeshadow palettes and then do like a pretty simple look. Nothing too crazy, but just enough to add a little bit more depth and zhuzh to the look. So Glaminatrix Barely Basic palette. I gotta mention this. This is like the queen of autumn palettes. It's got these beautiful oranges, some earthy olive greens, some neutral shades, and then like these wine tone shades. Lovely. And then if you're like me and you like a little bit of shimmer sometimes, beautiful iridescent shades up there. So definitely a winner for the autumn makeup category. Now, this is one of my favorite palettes. I'm just going to mention it. I think it might be discontinued, but there's minis flying around there, like mini versions, and like probably on Poshmark. But Natasha Denona bronze palette. You know what? I think she put out a new palette that's kind of replaced it, like the Warms or something. I'll put up some pictures, but oh, there's something about like this kind of like terracotta shade. It's a great deepening shade with an autumn look. Just had to shout this out. Anything kind of bronzy like that. I do love Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette as well. Again, kind of like warmth and brown, mustard tones. Great for autumn. And then these olives. And then you can really add some depth here with like the black and the darker brown. In fact, maybe I'll opt for this one. Vive, the Essential palette. This was like one of the OG releases from Vive as a brand. It says it all. You can see it looks like an autumn leaf, some great bronze colors, brightening shades, deepening shades. Can't go wrong. If you prefer more like kind of plums and pinks and terracottas, the Natasha Denona My Dream palette is a great option. I love these types of shades with autumn looks and great shimmers. Kind of pinky, pinky but muted shimmers. And then you could go on this side of the palette for like a lot more purpley, cooler tones here. All right, so what am I gonna create? I think I was, thinking about that Gemini palette. It's been a while, sweet Gemini. I'm gonna start with the shade Luna here. I do love starting eyeshadow looks with like a little bit more of a brighter shade, a little bit of a transition shade. This definitely has a little bit more like beachy colors, you know, like sand rather than orange. But I think they go really nicely with like a deeper orange, pumpkin orange. I'm just gonna like messily throw that into the crease. So I'm gonna add a little bit more depth here now with polka dot right there. Just take that in the outer corner and the lower lash line. I'm actually trying to keep this very simple. I'm not really in the mood for like a complicated eyeshadow look. You can still do something impactful but quick, you know? And I do love sticking with mattes as well for autumn eyeshadow looks to complement the skin on the lips. So I'm gonna add even more depth with Cupcake here. Just a little smokiness on the upper lash line. And on the outer corner there. That dark brown packs a punch actually, so just being mindful not to use too much of it. And then I think I might turn to this palette here, just to add a little bit of orange to complement the lips a little more, like something between, I think I'll take Pumpkin Spice and Comet. Just a touch of that. Nice way to add a little bit of a tie-in. I think that's it. I'm gonna pop off, do lashes. I think it's really gonna bring the look together and give you some final thoughts, I guess. So I will be one moment. All right, friends, this is the finished makeup look with the lashes. I love it. Feels like an autumn leaf come to life. This is definitely a look I turn to kind of at the beginning of every autumn, just playing with oranges and like different shades of brown on the eyes. You can keep it very quick and simple as I showed with just mixing a little bit of browns in the lips and the cheeks. Or you can add a little bit more drama by adding some more depth to the eyes. Or you can go really dark with some like darker brown tones, blend out some, you know, smoky browns and oranges on the eyes. That is so pretty too. The possibilities are endless, and I hope some of these recommendations help guide you in creating your autumn makeup looks year round. Yeah, definitely get yourself a brown lip liner if you don't have it. It's just like such a great anchoring and starting point for all kinds of lip shades. So yeah, that's it for today. Toasty, let's take it away. Good boy. Autumn boy, autumn boy. Toasty's doing this thing now where his tongue is always out because he's like so relaxed. I wish I could be that relaxed. It seems pretty good, eh? All right, friends, if you have any questions, definitely drop them in the comments down below. I always try and get back to everybody within a couple days. If you want to help support me and the channel a little bit more, I've linked my Patreon link down below where you can join my Patreon coven. There's some bonus content there with monthly makeup rituals and some other behind the scenes stuff and that kind of thing. I really appreciate all the support in any way you can. And yeah, that's it for today. Until next time, may you all find yourselves a little bit of makeup magic, a little bit of autumn makeup magic, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, witches.